Honorable members, let's pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership position in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I guess it's still morning. Good morning and welcome to this special sitting of Friday, 5th May 2023. Clerk, order of business.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, only have one communication to make, that in regards to special sitting of the County Assembly of Kericho standing orders. Notice is given to all Kericho County Assembly members that pursuant to standing order number 32 of Kericho County Assembly standing orders, on the request of the County Assembly's leader of majority, I have appointed Friday, 5th May 2023 at 9:30 a.m. to be special sitting, whose agenda shall be to discuss A, report by the Committee on Budget and Appropriation on the supplementary budget estimates 2 for financial year 2022-2023, and B, the first reading, second reading, Committee of the Whole House, and third reading of the Kericho County Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2 of 2023. That is the communication. Yes, gazetted.
Order number 3, messages.
Next.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next.
Order number 5, papers.
Next. Honorable Chairman for Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay to the table of this House the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the Kericho County Supplementary number 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023. Thank you.
All right, thank you, the Honorable Chair, for that. Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The Honorable Chairperson, give notice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to give notice of the following motion, that this House approves the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the Kericho County Supplementary Budget number 2, budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, next.
Order number 7, statements.
Next.
Order number 8, motion by the Chairman of Budget and Appropriation Committee.
The Honorable Chairperson, Albert Kupech, proceed with your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to move the following motion, that this House approves the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the Kericho County Supplementary number 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023. Mr. Speaker, I will request that I start from page 540.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the County Assembly received the supplementary 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023 from the County Executive Committee member in charge of Finance and Economic Planning on 24th April 2023, and the same was committed to the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on 25th April 2023 for consideration. The committee sat on various dates between 27th April and 4th May 2023 to deliberate on the proposed supplementary through budget estimate for the financial year 2022-2023. Mr. Speaker, under revenue, the total resource envelope for supplementary 2 budget for the financial year 2022-2023 is Kenya shilling 8.45 billion, comprising of equitable share of shilling 6.3 billion, on source revenue of Kenya shilling 385 million, facility improvement fund, and NHIF rebates is projected at Kenya shilling 634.3 million, and spent funds which form spending bills brought forward from previous financial years of Kenya shilling 515 million, conditional grants, which is road maintenance fuel levy fund, which stands at Kenya shilling 8.9 million, and donor fund comprising of DANIDA, or Danish International Development Agency, at Kenya shilling 9.18 million, Kenya Devolution Support Program, KDSP, of Kenya shilling 102.4 million, Agricultural Sector Development Support Program, SDSP, of Kenya shilling 43.1 million, and Transformative Health Sector Systems for Universal Care at Kenya shilling 75.4 million. Kenya Urban Support Program, UDG, Kenya shilling 1.19 million. Climate Change Institution Support at Kenya shilling 22 million. Climate Smart Agriculture, Kenya shilling 149.1 million. Kenya Urban Support Program, UIG, under SIDA, Kenya shilling 1.14 million. And National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project, NAFI CDP, at Kenya shilling 70 million. The county is also expecting to receive Kenya shilling 5.67 million as insurance compensation from vehicle attached to the office of the governor. And Mr. Speaker, sir, the total recurrent expenditure as per the mentioned revenue amounts to Kenya shilling 5.82 billion, whereas the development expenditure stands at Kenya shilling 2.23 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, the departmental considerations on supplementary 2 budget estimates for financial year 2022-2023, starting with the County Assembly. In the County Assembly, various items are adjusted within the department's line items on the current expenditure. The overall recurrent expenditure stands at Kenya shilling 933.8 million, whereas the development expenditure stands at Kenya shilling 45.7 million. Towards completion of Speaker's residence and other infrastructure works within the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, under the Department of Education, Libraries, Culture and Social Services, the recurrent vote stands at Kenya shilling 532.7 million, whereas the development vote stands at Kenya shilling 140.7 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, under the Department of Agriculture, Livestock and Cooperative Development, the recurrent vote stands at Kenya shilling 177 million, whereas the development vote stands at Kenya shilling 379 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, Finance and Economic Planning, the development vote stands at Kenya shilling 584.5 million, which includes 18.7 million for strategic intervention programs, whereas the recurrent vote stands at Kenya shilling 451.2 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, under health services, the recurrent vote for health services stands at Kenya shilling 2.3 billion, and the development vote was revised to Kenya shilling 421.5 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, under the Department of Lands, Housing and Fiscal Planning, the recurrent vote stands at Kenya shilling 99.1 million, which includes 19 million grants to Kericho and Litein municipal boards, whereas the development vote stands at Kenya shilling 82.9 million, which includes 26.5 million for Kericho and Litein municipal boards. Mr. Speaker, sir, under Public Service Management, the recurrent vote stands at Kenya shilling 424.8 million, whereas the development vote is Kenya shilling 5.9 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, Public Works, Roads and Transport, the recurrent vote of this department is Kenya shilling 82.9 million, and the development vote was revised to Kenya shilling 559.8 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, under the Trade, Industrialization, Information, Tourism and Wildlife, the recurrent vote of this department stands at Kenya shilling 61 million, and the development vote is at Kenya shilling 3.1 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, Information, Communication, Youth Affairs, Sports and E-Government, the recurrent vote of this department stands at Kenya shilling 55.8 million, and the development vote is at Kenya shilling 36.3 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, Office of the Governor and Deputy Governor, the recurrent vote of this department now stands at Kenya shilling 166.2 million to cater for operating expenditures in the office of the governor and deputy governor. Mr. Speaker, sir, under County Public Service Board, the recurrent vote of this department stands at Kenya shilling 57.5 million to cater for operating expenses with no development vote. Number two, Mr. Speaker, of the last department, the Department of Water, Energy, Forestry, Environment and Natural Resources. The recurrent vote is Kenya shilling 154.9 million, whereas the development vote stands at Kenya shilling 368.4 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, all those that I've read is accompanied by estimates, which has all the workings. And Mr. Speaker, sir, from the advice of Kenya Support Program and this letter, Mr. Speaker, allow me to do a corrigendum on lands department and agriculture department. Okay. And this is the way I will do it, Mr. Speaker, sir.
All right.
I will go to the Department of Agriculture and code which is under development 22-11-003. I hope we are there, Mr. Speaker. Also members.
Members, please.
Members, we can go together to estimates so that I do a small corrigendum for the purpose of this letter and from the advice from the executive. So we will go together to development and agriculture, livestock cooperative development. And then we go to code 22-11-003, which is livestock improvement feeds and product processing projects. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, that last column, we are going to deduct 13 million. We are going to deduct 13 point, as per this letter, because we are required to appropriate 31 million. So 13.2 13,500,000, Mr. Speaker. So we are going to deduct 13,500,000 from that code. And Mr. Speaker, we will take it to lands. We will take it to lands, which is also development, under code 3110302, with a narration of construction of modern market, Kericho County, COSUP infrastructure contributions. Inside there, Mr. Speaker, there is 18 million. So we are going to add 13.5 to make it 31,500,000 as per the request and as per this letter, which is under Kenya Urban Support Program. So, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson, Honorable Chair, is it 13.5 or there are other coins on top?
13.5. So we are going to deduct 13.5 from livestock improvement feeds and products processing projects, which is under code 22-11-003.
Yes. And
take it to lands, housing and physical planning, code number 311-0302, with a narration of construction of modern market, Kericho Town, County, COSUP infrastructure contribution.
Well noted, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. So I was saying that, Mr. Speaker, this letter from the urban support talks about reimbursement of 31,466,000. So inside there is 18 million. So plus this 13 will make it at 1.5. So which means the last figure, the total figure under that line item will be 52.5 million. And then the other one will reduce by that 13 0.5, so we will be having 5 million. One good thing, Mr. Speaker, is that these realignments will not affect the percentage. So the percentage is still that 1% development, and the other one 69% recurrent. So I was requesting that I do this corrigenda, Mr. Speaker, so that when members will be discussing, they will be discussing as a whole when at least this thing has been adjusted. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, allow me, Mr. Speaker, to give the committee observations. And the first one is that revenue targets were not met, and thus projection of the same was reduced, and there was realignments across the departments. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, is that there was substantial pending bills which are still uncleared in all the departments. And then number 4 observation, Mr. Speaker, is that it was evident that there was a substantial unspent balances from the previous financial years. Under recommendations, Mr. Speaker, revenue projections should be realistic going forward. In fact, we are suggesting that in the next financial year, the executive should give us a realistic revenue projections so that we will not be budgeting. And then later on, we are told that there is a deficit of about 200 or 300 million. The number 2, Mr. Speaker, under committee recommendations, is that suppliers and contractors should be fast charged during payments on completed projects to mitigate against accumulation of unspent balances and pending bills. And then the third one is that the departments should strive to achieve their local revenue and FIF targets. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, is that the department should ensure pending bills are cleared as they occur. Timelines for completion of projects should be adhered to. And then all programs from all the departments should be rolled out immediately as per the estimates, procurement plans, and schedule attached herein. The sector committee to perform the oversight role with regards to funds appropriated to various departments. Mr. Speaker, allow me to acknowledge the committee wishes to thank the officers of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Assembly for the necessary support extended to it in the execution of its mandate. Further, the committee acknowledges the exemplary services rendered by the staff of the County Assembly and County Executive. Indeed, their devotion and commitment to duty have made the work of the committee and production of this report successful. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 2241, I do present the report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on Supplementary 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023 for consideration by this Honorable House. Mr. Speaker, allow me to call Honorable Weldon Rogon to second. Thank you.
Honorable Protich Rogon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion that has been ably presented by the chairman. Mr. Speaker, I only have few issues, but first I must thank my committee members, my colleagues, because they took time to work on this document, and today we have come to, we are now tabling, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll swiftly go to the recommendations, Mr. Speaker, and it is true. As a committee, we noted that the county government of Kericho has continued to pile on the pending bills. And Mr. Speaker, it is not a requirement from the Commission on Revenue Allocation and even the Office of the Controller of Budget that all the pending bills ought to be considered first before everything. Because, Mr. Speaker, if we do not pay attention to this, then by 2026 we will still be having contractors who've delivered services to this county and they have not been paid, and this is an injustice, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, pending bills will always destabilize. It will always, it is not good for our budget, Mr. Speaker. And number 2, Mr. Speaker, even as we worked on this budget, we all know the budget is funded by the money from the exchequer, our own source revenue, donors, and other grants, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is unfortunate that even as we worked on this supplementary 2, our own source revenues were scaled down because we were unable to meet the target. And Mr. Speaker, there are reports that we've just presented that some of the sectoral committees have tabled before this House, Mr. Speaker. I can give you one, Mr. Speaker, the one that was done by the Finance Committee and the Committee on Trade pointed out so many concerns. Mr. Speaker, we have revenues that we are not collecting as a county government of Kericho. And we've continued to urge the executive to pay attention to even ensure these revenues are considered. Mr. Speaker, there is one funny thing. The A5, if you check from this, it was actually scaled down because we were unable to meet that target. Same case to the other collections that we do in our markets. Mr. Speaker, this is uncalled for. If we have to implement this budget, then we need money. And Mr. Speaker, the chairman has indicated rightfully, recurrent expenditure stands at 69 million. And the development vote is 69% and 31%. Mr. Speaker, if we worked on our own source revenues well, it will push down, it will cure the anomaly. Because as it is now, we are not doing well. It should be the other way around. Recurrent expenditure should be 31% and development vote should be 69%. So, Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate, and I want to urge the sectoral committees that we have in this House, let us play our role. If the executive is not doing what it should be doing, Mr. Speaker, I urge this House that let us crack the whip. This is what we need to do, and this is what the people sent us to do. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, it is noted, one of the recommendations that we gave, Mr. Speaker, is for the departments. When we passed supplementary 1, it means money was available to be spent. There are departments like water, Mr. Speaker. Not a single project has been started, and yet funds were there. Even when we pass this one, still the same department may not even be ready to roll out the programs that they are supposed to roll out in our wards. Lastly, there are departments like agriculture. They are yet to even get some works done in some wards. Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate, yet our role we've done. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the House, let us play the total and serious oversight role in this county, Mr. Speaker. Because one, when we pass this budget, we do not want to be told that in this department we are losing this. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the members that even as we pass this, let us also play the critical role of oversight, because the executive ought to deliver to the people of Kericho, and us as an assembly, we've got to check on them to ensure that what the people of Kericho want is delivered to them. To this, Mr. Speaker, I second and I support the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Baragunj, for seconding the motion. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House approves the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on Kericho County Supplementary number 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023, together with corrigendum as proposed by the Chairperson, Budget and Appropriation Committee, the Honorable Albert Kipkoech. The floor is open. The Honorable Hezron. Then I'll give to the Honorable Peter Kemoy.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, so that I can rise to support the motion by Chair Budget, Honorable Albert Kipkoech. First, Honorable Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Chairman and the Vice Chairman and the entire committee for job well done. I know this supplementary budget came in the midst of a lot of activities, and we burned the midnight oil, Mr. Speaker. Until now, we have this supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, on the issue, I want to second again the corrigendum raised by the Chairman on the issue of the additional funds to Department of Land, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there was some unclear misappropriation of funds, which as a committee we will not take it lightly and we will follow to the rules, Mr. Speaker. Because on 2nd of this month, Mr. Speaker, we receive a letter from the State Department of Housing Urban Development on course of infrastructure investment over expenditure, whereby, Mr. Speaker, there was a misappropriation of around 31 million, Mr. Speaker. And these funds, if we will not reinstate, as indicated by the chairman, Mr. Speaker, will not be eligible to get the additional 356 million which we are meant to be given. Additionally, the county government had done a proposal for additional 260 million again for Litein municipality, Mr. Speaker. For us to assess those funds, Mr. Speaker, it is a condition that we reinstate the 1 million. And I want to echo this committee because they have anonymously seed the money from the Department of Agriculture, since this additional 13 million, Honorable Speaker, was meant for livestock enforcement, where there is a project which is meant to be advertised, and because of the procurement period of around 45 days, it cannot materialize before we get to the next financial year.
Yes,
so, Mr.
Order, the Honorable, yes, the Honorable Paul Chichis, what is the point of information?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I hear the Honorable Chairman, Mr. Speaker, sir, making very serious, putting very serious statements here, Mr. Speaker, sir. When you say, or when the Honorable Member says that 31 million has been misappropriated, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a house of rules and procedures, a house of order. Any statement that we make here, Mr. Speaker, sir, goes to the answered. Is it an allegation or is it confirmed that funds have been misappropriated, Mr. Speaker, sir? So can the Honorable Member substantiate? Because if it is an allegation, let it be an allegation. If the funds have been misappropriated, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a very serious matter. We will not just sit here and appropriate funds when funds have been misappropriated, Mr. Speaker, sir. We need to go on record. If it is an allegation, let it be an allegation until it is proven. If it is misappropriation of funds, Mr. Speaker, sir, let it be very clear that money has been misappropriated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, the Honorable Paul Chichir. Before you the Honorable Hezron, of course, Standing Order number 101 reminds us of the responsibility for statement of facts. And as correctly placed by the Honorable Paul Chichir, it is important that whatever you make, whatever remark you make in this House should, of course, be supported by facts and should be accurate. And therefore, I'll give you so that you can clarify that, and then you can finalize on your contribution.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as the chairman, I am responsible for any statement I make in this House, Mr. Speaker. And the reason why I say so, Mr. Speaker, I didn't want to take more time, Mr. Speaker. I had indicated that there is a letter which was sent to the department, Mr. Speaker. For clarity, Mr. Speaker, I'll use only 2 minutes to read out this letter so that it can substantiate and affirm the corrigenda done by the chairman, if you will allow me, Mr. Speaker.
Absolutely.
So, the letter reads, reference is made to the recent visit to Kericho municipality on 3rd April 2023 on a Kusuf infrastructure visit. The county team presented information on Kusuf Urban Development Grant, UDG infrastructure investment, as well as consultancy activities undertaken under the program to date. During the presentation, it was noted that the municipality overspent, I want you to know that, overspent in the variation for the contract for the construction of fire station, beautification of Uru Gardens, as well as in combined costs for the consultancies for preparation of bid documents, EIA, and supervision of modern market and preparation of bid documents. EIA and supervision of construction of stormwater drainage facilities in Kapsuser, Kapsoit, and Nyakajo. There was, can you...
Order, honorable members. And the Honorable Paul Chirichiri, even Kapsoit is mentioned.
Yeah, and that is why I wanted his attention.
Order, let's listen, honorable members, as you finalize the honorable majority.
Yeah.
Emeritus, so.
The over expenditure were due to exceeding the limit of 5% of such activities as provided in the Kenya Urban Support Program Operational Manual, POM. The POM manual provides that variation should be limited to 5% of the contract value, and that the value of any consultancies by financing year should be limited to 5% of the year's UDG allocation. In consideration of BOM requirement and presented expenditure for the above infrastructure investment and consultancies, the over expenditure are shilling 6,461,223.21 and shillings 25,005,050 shilling respectively, both in giving a total of cash 31,466,273.21. This over expenditure of the UDG funds constitute to ineligible expenditure under the program. That is why it made me to use the term misappropriation, because they spent in non-eligible, they did ineligible expenditure. This therefore to advise you to make the necessary arrangements to refund this over expenditure to the UDG SPA account and recommit the cumulative amount including the accrued balances in eligible infrastructure investment in compliance with POM before closure of the program. So that was the reason, Mr. Speaker. And I think now the honorable member is in limelight, and that's why I was raising that as the chairman of the Lands Committee and the member of the committee will look at this over expenditure and table a comprehensive report, Mr. Speaker. If anyone is found capable of which it is, we should take personal responsibility, including those who have exited, Mr. Speaker. Because these are funds which are not meant to be misappropriated. They are funds which are meant for the good use of the great people. Now, if we will not deny ourselves some development amount so that we reinstate the amount, we will be denying the great people of Kericho 356 million, which is meant for Kericho municipality, and another additional 260 million, which will be meant for Litein municipality, Mr. Speaker. So that's the reason why we are saying somebody must take personal responsibility as we are reinstating the 31 million. And I want to thank the chairman for a swift reaction over the same. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, the reason why we have a scale down in development, Mr. Speaker, is because of what we were debating when we were doing budget, Mr. Speaker. In recommendation by the committee, Mr. Speaker, recommendation number 1 says revenue projection should be realistic going forward, Mr. Speaker. And I remember when we were begging these honorable members that we have been in this house long enough to know these people, the executive, are sometimes elusive, Mr. Speaker. We told the honorable members that although we work in mutual cooperation with the executive, we must not be in bed with them, Mr. Speaker. We need to know that there is separation of powers. This is because when we were telling them these people cannot collect this revenue, we were overestimating the revenue. We were giving unrealistic revenue. Now, it has done to us, all of us, Mr. Speaker, that these people, they didn't meet the revenue projection. And going forward, we need to be one and give them realistic realistic revenue target, so that we don't fall into these traps whereby we are collapsing some of the intended projects which are supposed to be done. So finally, Mr. Speaker, another recommendation which has touched my heart is the Sectoral Committee to perform the oversight role with regards to funds appropriated to various departments. It's so shameful again, Mr. Speaker, after sacrificing to get funds and allocate to departments, Mr. Speaker. It is so shameful. We are in the last quarter, almost closure of the financial year, and there is some department which have never roll out, not even roll out, even to advertise, even a single project, Mr. Speaker. And I want to be in record and naming that and asking the our APO chairman of water department, Mr. Speaker, Honorable APO, Honorable Kemboy. Honorable Speaker, this committee should up their game. There is no, we don't have luxury of time to be allocating funds, and there is no development being rolled out. We have allocated to almost 400 million, and there is no proof of any project being rolled out. Right now, some of the honorable members are moving funds from water department to other department, which they see they can be done. So I urge the chairmen of every sectoral committee to ensure that every department which you are chairing is up to their game, and to ensure that the projects are rolled out on time. Otherwise, we support this motion. Thank you.
Before there is point of information from the Honorable Matthew. You want to inform the member of the House? Order, honorable members. The Honorable Peter Kemo, your hand was up. I'll give you a minute each, and then I'll give to the Honorable Eric B, and then we can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And let me congratulate the chair for budget and vice and the entire team for the good work done, and must appreciate. Let me take this opportunity also to congratulate honorable members for finding their time and to go through and see the progress in the entire county. Number two, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have a challenge in terms of collection of revenue that will boost even our development and the key agendas. We are reviewing this, and we are seeing that we didn't meet the target in terms of the collection of revenue. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me respond also concerning the Department of Water. And I want to inform the members that there are some of the projects that have been completed in some of the wards. And I'm finding that there are some of honorable members whom they have removed their amount, their allocations, and moved to another department. And yet there are some of the projects that have been done in their wards, especially this one for Jeriotpet. And the other day, I took him, we talked with the director of water, and we find some of the projects in his wards have been completed. So they were waiting only to be, the contractors to be paid. Now I'm saying he has removed 5.3 million and moved to another. So this one will contribute also to the pending bills, because we'll be using money from another wards to pay the contractors who have completed the work in various wards. I don't concur with some of the members that there is no work that has been rolled out in the department, and some of the works that have been done in some wards. And this week, I think they completed giving out the LSOs and the award letters. I know by next week, all the MCS their works in the department will be rolled out and they'll finish on time. We had a challenge, Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of the CEO. The CEO resigned, then we had another new CEO. So that was the main challenge. But I'm ensuring the House that come the next financial year, the department will be the first one to do and complete their works. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, the Honorable Peter Kemo. The Honorable Eric B, and then I give to Matthew, and then we need to finalize because we have other agendas.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute. First of all, allow me to congratulate our Chair and his entire committee for the good work, Mr. Speaker, coming up with this budget today. I think it was committed the other week, and this is the week we are passing. Mr. Speaker, this is the this is the last quarter of the financial year, and I must say that this is the last budget, I think, which is going to be utilized in various departments, Mr. Speaker. So we are taking very serious this report, and allow me, first of all, also to contribute and to give the best rating in the department, Mr. Speaker. I have seen from the report, Mr. Speaker, the first and department is health, Mr. Speaker, of which I am the chair, and followed by the lands, Mr. Speaker, not lands, roads, and I think the last one is the one for water. I may say so, Mr. Speaker, because we've never, the chair has contributed so much saying that he's done work, but we've not felt the work done by the Department of Water. We must be sincere and say the truth. Mr. Speaker, in the Department of Health, Mr. Speaker, we are very happy because in the last supplementary one, they were able to use the funds well, Mr. Speaker. When you see the development, it was utilized 100%, Mr. Speaker, followed by the drugs, which I want to believe that the wards are very happy, plus the Honorable Member, Mr. Speaker, because they have actually received the drugs. And what we are requesting from the department has been gathered, because they only requested for the month of June, July, August, and September, Mr. Speaker. And they actually say the drugs which you supply for this term, Mr. Speaker, is ending by the month of June. So from July, August, and September, Mr. Speaker, from this supplementary budget, we've able to factor in the entire money for the drugs. So I want to tell the honorable members, we shall not be having shortage come July, August, and September, Mr. Speaker. The only thing we are requesting the department to ensure that they procure the suppliers to supply the drugs within that period of time, whereby we know that by then, Mr. Speaker, that has been a great challenge for us. We have never we have felt the issue of shortage of drugs in the month of June and July. Mr. Speaker, the realistic revenue collection, I want to believe and I want to agree with the report, because we've heard that the county government are only giving us unrealistic revenue collection. And we've seen the loopholes. From the last report which was passed last week, Mr. Speaker, it was very clear. And I want to congratulate Honorable Gladys for the good report they gave us. This is being seconded by the report today. We are seeing there's a lot of laxity when it comes to the collection of revenue within our country. Because if you see, Mr. Speaker, they were not able to collect revenue within 1 week and 2 weeks. And they are now giving us a realistic target, of which we want to encourage. And we are not going to bed with the executive, Mr. Speaker. We want to tell this plain truth. They have the game. When they are giving us the target, they should tell us the target and also give us the procedures of doing the collection. We have seen a lot of leakages and caps which need to be caps within the executive, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to commend corrigendum. This is a corrective part which chairs has raised. We've seen they need that money for the donor to give us fund. But by and large, Mr. Speaker, also, they are not utilizing this fund in a proper way. I want to second the honorable members who have contributed, Mr. Speaker, that by the end of the day, the Department of Land should go ahead and do the proper oversight and give us the report where this money goes, because we cannot sit here with a stamp, and at the end of the day, there are some people who are looting our fund, Mr. Speaker. So we want to direct this to the Honorable Member Esron to come up with a proper report within 2 weeks, and the Chairman PSC to come up with another report, so that we can join to two and recommend for somebody to be liable and to be in jail. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the report. Thank you very much.
Next, the Honorable Matthew, you contribute. No point of order. Give your contribution. A minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity also to contribute and to support this motion, this supplementary budget, Mr. Speaker. I wanted only just to inform the member that we only have one chair in this county assembly, and that is the Honorable Speaker, who can give direction of 2 weeks, 1 week, and 14 days. It is not the honorable members to. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious committee, and I can tell you, and I want to thank the chair and the committee members for what they have done. I know it was not easy. Some of us were in Nairobi, but we had to travel back to be in this county assembly today so that we can pass this supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, my point is on issue that the chairman has moved on current agenda on issues of Department of Lands. Mr. Speaker, going forward will not be coming and moving a lot of resources from one department to another department where they had enough time to utilize the resources, but they end up misusing everything, Mr. Speaker, sir. And one, I think we need also to get the handing over report from the CC, the former CC lands to the current CC lands. Because at the end of the day, you cannot ask for extra 38 million, Mr. Speaker, to just to rebudget after using ineligible projects, Mr. Speaker, sir. So one, I want to thank the committee. I want to thank the chairman and the vice chair for the efforts. This report is good. One, Mr. Speaker, on the issues of revenue. I've been here talking about the revenue since, even during that day when the CC in charge of finance appeared before the committee on budget. One, we told him, first tell us the realities. And it is good today we have put in paper the realities of the revenue that we can collect in this county. We don't need to be budgeting because we want to budget. We need to budget on, we need to live to the standard that we can raise. Not just but to blackmail and get big figures only to come and realize we collect less amount. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
I don't know Paul Chirchir, and then I'll give to the mover of the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me an opportunity to support supplementary budget number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, because of the following reasons. Supplementary budgets are meant to realign budgets and votes that probably have not been exhausted, some that have been exhausted, so that service is delivered to the good people of Kericho. The Speaker, sir, I'm a happy man today because in my ward, for example, Kapsoit, I was able to rearrange and move some of the money to cooperatives, Mr. Speaker, sir, which will make work in my ward easier, Mr. Speaker, sir. We want to strengthen cooperatives. We can only strengthen cooperatives by helping the common man in the village, Mr. Speaker, sir, to be able to deliver milk to the coolers. For example, I sat down with the management of Mossop, and we agreed, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What is it, the Honorable Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think Honorable Paul Chirchir is lying by giving us full figures that in the cooperative development, he was able to put a lot of money. But in me, I'm seeing 0 figures. So he should be informed and give us substantiate. Thank you.
Order, honorable members, and order, honorable policy. Before you speak to the matter, let us, of course, the responsibility of fact also.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the honorable member from Kablel should have been very patient. You know, there is recurrent expenditure and development expenditure, Mr. Speaker, sir. Purchase of motor vehicle and motorcycle is in recurrent, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is why I was able to move from the development to recurrent, so that we buy 6 motorcycles for ease of purchase of milk from all the routes, Mr. Speaker. So we have 6 routes. So in this budget, there is funds for purchase of 6 motorcycles under cooperatives. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Members, let us consult in.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget
order the honorable Jerry Bet. Is it order chief whip?
Order. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order the honorable policy chief.
Thank you.
Order, honorable members. The honorable Jerry Bet, the honorable Eric B, the honorable chief whip. You're consulting in high tones. Please, let's allow the honorable policy chief to.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't want to be informed.
Order.
I decline to be informed, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order. Is it you're informing the member or the House? All right. Honorable Chair.
Mr. Speaker, I think it would be very awkward for a member to lie and to be very honest. Our figures are only capped in 36 million. It is very clear that it is that he has that 6 million at the end of it. So there's nothing that was moved from this one to recurrent. It is very explicitly clear here.
Order, honorable
Mr. Speaker. No, it's there. That's it.
Honorable Chief Whip, thank you for the information. The honorable Chairperson, perhaps you can clarify that so that, and I'll give you the honorable Portichira a minute to finalize on your remarks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to clarify because I was sitting when corrections was being done. Mr. Speaker, I want to take members to Kapsoit Ward in the schedule, and you realize that the total figure for Kapsoit is 34,819,805. And the reason why it was taken to recurrent is that they consulted with the CEO and the CC, and they said they will only do that if it is in recurrent. That is why, members, if I can take you to recurrent, I can take you to recurrent under agriculture. Allow me to take you to recurrent under agriculture.
Honorable members, let us pay attention. Order, honorable members, and the chairperson is clarifying a point here. As also the chief whip notes on the point of information, because the chairperson is giving us new information on the same.
Yes, so Mr. Speaker, you can see under recurrent,
yes,
under that vote, purchase of motorcycles, code 311, it is in one code, but hapo chini yake. Oh, down there, sorry, Mr. Speaker. So 311, 102. And then you can count about 3 lines. You'll see purchase of motorcycles, Kapsoit, and then in bracket cooperatives. And that amount is 1.6. So members, if you can add 867 that was in plus 780, you'll get that figure.
All right. Order. Thank you for your clarification, the honorable chairperson. The honorable Policy, summarize in a minute, please. And I know you are here. You are speaking.
Thank you, my.
I know you are speaking on behalf of the people of Kapsoit.
Thank you. Thank you, my able chairman for budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are a very organized team, and I do things procedurally, as I've always been the team leader of Fuata Sharia, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I know most of the members here right now want to put money also so that they buy motorcycles for the farmers. Mr. Speaker, sir, my able member from Mainamo is borrowing notes from me, Mr. Speaker. He's telling me in the next supplementary, he'll also buy motorcycles for the farmers. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to explain this way. We had a report the other day on cooperatives. My ward was number 3, Mr. Speaker, sir. Kabianga leads, followed by Cheblanget, then Kapsoi. So I want to move to number 1. The only way I can move to number 1, Mr. Speaker, sir, is to allow that farmer who has 1 liter, half a liter, to get his or her milk to the cooler. That can only be possible if we buy these motorcycles, feed them with buying jerry cans so that they be collecting. And these motorcycles will go as far as Waldai ward, will go as far as Kapsuser ward, Kipchebor ward, partly Kipchimjim, and partly Ainamoy. That is the catchment area for Mosap Cooperative side, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, number 2, on roads. My allocation is 16 million, so I'll be able to maram most of the roads immediately after the rain. And Mr. Speaker, sir, number 3, on water. I have an ambitious water program for my ward to make sure that water reaches most of the households, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is possible in this supplementary budget. So I support this supplementary budget. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, on Kericho Municipal Board, the misappropriation of 31 million. Heads must roll. Heads must roll, Mr. Speaker. There is no way we can be appropriating money to fill a gap that was left because of misappropriation, Mr. Speaker. I look forward for a report from the Committee of Lands on the same, Mr. Speaker, because these are very serious matter. Aids must roll, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, I support this supplementary number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir.
All right, thank you very much, the Honorable Cheriot Pech, and then we can conclude.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving the people of Ainamoi an opportunity to also be heard in this county assembly. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the chair budget and the entire committee, Mr. Speaker, for banning the midnight oil, Mr. Speaker, to come up with this very good report, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this supplementary budget is a budget, Mr. Speaker, that is going to uplift especially the people of where I represent, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, basically, I was voted by the people of Ainamoi, Mr. Speaker, and that is why I know what problems they are going through, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, how I wish that we have always done very good budgets, Mr. Speaker, but it is the executive who are going to implement. I only want to urge the various committees, Mr. Speaker, especially the chairpersons of various committees, to make sure that each and every department execute the budget with military precision, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the schedule, for example, various members moved their allocation from one department to another, Mr. Speaker. You are moving, Mr. Speaker. Our rearrangement is done because of the needs of your people. And second, Mr. Speaker, if the department is not able to utilize the money that you had appropriated. Mr. Speaker, I heard that some of the honorable members had mentioned my name here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am the MCA for Ainamoi Ward, Mr. Speaker.
As you finalize. We
do not have any other MCA. And I want to encourage every MCA, you speak on behalf of the people who elected you. Why should you go and poke holes in a ward that never voted for you, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, in Ainamoi Ward, I was called by the department. I called the CEC water, Mr. Speaker, and he told me I am doing 33 projects for influential and powerful MCAs, Mr. Speaker. And the Honorable Matthew Korir is my witness. And that is the main reason, Mr. Speaker, I knew they are not going to do any project in my ward. I moved from water to roads, Mr. Speaker, because roads are very pathetic in where I come from. I represent a ward that is semi-harem, Mr. Speaker.
Remember, maybe you clarify that. As you say that they're doing 33 projects for influential.
Mr. Speaker, I am telling you, I called the CEC and informed her that why is it that there is no water project that is taking place in my ward. The CEC told me, Mr. Speaker, and I should be on record, that we are only doing 33 projects for powerful and influential MCAs. Honorable Matthew is my witness, if he was here. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, that has necessitated my movement from the Department of Water, because I know I am not among the powerful, neither am I among the 33 projects that is going to be done. So I took my money in entirety, Mr. Speaker, to Roads Department, Mr. Speaker. And that is where I feel comfortable, because that is even where work has begun, Mr. Speaker. If you come to my ward, I'm doing 5 good roads. Not a single water project has been done in Inamoi ward, Mr. Speaker. And that is the reason why I'm telling the chairman. In fact, I was coming from his ward today, and people are looking for him in Kapsoi, Mr. Speaker. They are telling me, if you find Diplo, Mr. Speaker, tell them that we need shades, Mr. Speaker. So that's, Mr. Speaker, yes, I support this supplementary budget, and every MCA, you go and do work in your ward, especially during this recess, Mr. Speaker. The reason why we have recess is that the members of the county assembly should be meeting their electorates, Mr. Speaker, but they are not at home, because when I was coming, I come through CAP, so they were telling me we need some border shades, inform Diplo that we need border shades here, Mr. Speaker. So Diplo, when you go home, the honorable chair for water.
Honorable members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support this supplementary budget in entirety.
Order. The honorable chair, we need to clarify who is Diplo in this house, unless you refer to someone else.
Mr. Speaker, it is common sense. Some of these questions are common sense, Mr. Speaker. So the honorable Diplo is the chair for, I don't know the other name. So that is the name I use.
Order, honorable member. The honorable Anthony Ruto, and then I give to the honorable Gilbert Ngetich a minute each. And I don't know whether the honorable Cheriot Bate, who is a ranking member, seems to be harassing first-time honorable members. The honorable, I'll give an opportunity. I know you cannot speak twice to the matter, the honorable Peter Kemoy. But the Honorable Cheriot Bate has alluded to a very serious allegation that you are not always in your ward, which you need to clarify on answer. It will be very important you shed light on that. Using standing order number 1, I'll give you an opportunity to speak for a minute. Proceed, the Honorable Anthony Ruto.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, for giving me this chance so that I may also support this particular motion on supplementary budget. First and foremost, I want to thank my able chair, Budget, for marshalling us as a committee in the production of this particular document. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, sir, I want to concur with honorable members that have already contributed to this very important motion. Among the things that we want to bring to the attention of executive is that we have a problem in procurement. Procurement in this county is wanting. That is why works are delayed, because procurement department is letting us down as far as procurement of works is concerned. So something actually should be done in the Department of Procurement. Another thing again that needs urgent attention is on the side of contractors. When works are given to contractors, they also take time to do the works. So something again should be done urgently as far as contractors is concerned. If I can be able to cite one thing, especially in the Department of Roads, some works were given out under open tender. one contractor using several companies was given several works in different wards. The same contractor as we are talking now, Honorable Speaker, sir, has not rolled out works in those specific wards. Mine has been done only 70%. In fact, I've been calling the contractor every now and then, but nothing has not been done. Meaning that something actually should be done in the Department of Roads. Another thing, Honorable Speaker, sir, we have heard of shoddy works being done in our wards. Structures collapsing. This has happened because of non-supervision of works by engineers. Works are only being given out and nobody is supervising these works. I want to say, in future, if any structure collapse, engineer concerned should be held responsible. The last one was the same, Honorable Speaker, sir. As an assembly, we should play our paramount role on oversight to the maximum. And I want to urge implementation committee to be on its toes, so that at the end of the day, they can be able to assist us in the implementation of projects. I want to acknowledge our former chair implementation in the last assembly, who is now our deputy speaker. In fact, when he was chair implementation, we were able to realize good things happening in our wards. So I want to encourage current chair implementation to also do the same. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I support the motion. Thank you so much.
The Honorable Gilbert Ngetich. I'll give you the Honorable Peter Kemon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity also to represent the good people of Kishara, to mainly support this particular motion made by the Honorable Chair, Albert, Chairman Budget, who has really made us to come up with this document, which is detailed and which is fair and should serve the Kericho County to the fullest. Let me appreciate the committee for the job well done. The staffs were really there to see this work done well. And I'm also supporting so much this particular motion, and I'm saying that this particular supplementary budget is made well, and it is in good performance ahead for the people we represent. Mainly, as I talk on behalf of Kisiara Ward, in which I'm seeing some money, didn't move any, because I was seeing I made them to be the way they are, because these are the expectations of the people whom I laid, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, as the Chairman Roads, I appreciate that members are commenting that there are some work going on, and generally almost and every ward has a road being done as we talk today. If it is one or two, the works are going on. Was perturbed and perplexed to learn over structure falling. We are not yet performing on structures, Honorable, from Kipkelion. But if there is one structure made which is dilapidated, the committee is expecting a concrete information pertaining the same, and we will take immediate action on the same. I remember honorable member called me pertaining a contractor who serves almost several wards. Mr. Speaker, I have also called the CEO and the CC to summon the contractor to tell us why is he doing shoddy works in particular wards in which I'm really informed. One is in my ward also, a contractor called Rayoni, in which we inspected with the CEC. The work was done shoddily, Mr. Speaker, and I'm just saying the work should be repeated. If there is any shoddy work done in a particular ward, no procedure of payment will be made or guaranteed unless the work is certified and approved that it is done to the standard expected by the engineers. The engineers who are colluding to the shoddy work, we will see to it that the work which is really done in a ward can be really certified, and I'm sure the engineers who are existing will do the work. Pertaining the reimbursement, Mr. Speaker, in the Department of Lands.
As you summarize.
As I summarize on the same, Mr. Speaker, I support the reimbursement, but I really beseech the chairman that you go back with your committee and tell us clearly where the money went during the last regime. If anyone is not found culpable pertaining the same reimbursement, we will be doing and feeding mouths which are really consuming taxpayers' money, Mr. Speaker. We are waiting for that report, Chairman Lance, and we will want to see people taken and arraigned to a court. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity.
Thank you. The Honorable Paul Kiptobi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to echo what my colleagues have said in congratulating our able chair budget for the good work done. Honorable Speaker, what I just wanted to respond was what my able chair Rhodes has said. So let me not add and let me not waste time, because I just wanted to say the same.
Thank you.
Whereby, you know, when a lot of challenges are coming from roads, is because, you know, it's cutting across the entire county. But we would like to assure the honorable members that in case of anything, please play your role well as honorable members by oversighting all those projects which are done in your wards. Please, we failed the other time because maybe we don't take much of our time in oversighting, you know, the work being done in our wards. Otherwise, I really support the motion, and thank you for time you've given me, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
The Honorable Peter Kemai. The Honorable Peter Kemai. That the last your remarks, and then I give to the mover with the motion to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity once again. Maybe concerning what Mheshimiwa Honorable Cheriot Pate has mentioned, that, you know, when he talk of Diblo and he's passing Kapsoit, my ward is Kapsuser ward. And I don't come from Kapsoit ward. So I don't know whom you were referring to, because I come from Kapsuser ward and I represent my people, and the most accessible MCA in the ward is me. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, this morning I have launched a project in my ward which is taking place, and I was coming from home. In fact, every now and then when we finish the meeting in Nairobi, that night I spent in my place. So I don't know whom he was referring to, because that is not me. My word is Kapsuser, and he was mentioning something to do with Kapsoit. Kapsoit is Mheshimiwa Paul Chirchir. So I think he should refer the issue of sheds in Kapsoit to Mheshimiwa Paul Chirchir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And maybe to be in record, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is good that we inform ourselves as honorable members that the issue of moving our money from one department to the other one, I want to repeat this one, because there are some of the works that are taken place in our wards. And I think this one will penalize the contractors, because if you remove the money from the department moving to another department, and these contractors has been awarded the works to be done in the respectable wards. Now, after completing these projects, which source of money will be paid to these people? I think we should be very clear, and we should inform our members. And let us also, honorable members, be sincere, because I'm seeing that we are moving to a very serious direction that needs a serious issue to be tabled in this house, Mr. Speaker, sir. And it is my concern, because we'll be penalizing the Department of Water, yet the project has been done in your ward. And will not use, let me be very sincere, will not use the money from another ward to pay a contractor who did a work in a certain work, whom you have removed the amount. I have to be very sincere. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Peter Kemoy, who is the chairperson of Water. Before I give to the mover of the motion to reply, there is a very serious matter that has just come up on this corrigendum. And the Honorable Chairperson Lands, of course, did table and substantiated the use of the word ineligible expenditure, of course, which we all know is a serious violation of the PFM Act regulations and even the conditions as set out by the donors, in this case, the Kenya Urban Support Program. I therefore direct the Chairperson Lands to investigate the matter and table the report when the House resumes from recess, the first or second session. All right. The chairperson, please note that, and I think I've been advised by the clerk that first you come up with a statement and then for proper records. But the matter should be brought, should be taken seriously, as the role, one of the role of this house is the oversight role. The Honorable majority, I'm giving this opportunity to the mover of the motion to reply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank honorable members for supporting this motion which is before us. And I want to assure them that next or subsequent budgets, we are going to be fair and fairer as we consult. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to request the executive, especially the Department of Finance, that as they are preparing estimates, they are supposed to use a very clear formula. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that because, as you can see, our estimates has a balance of 1 shilling. You can see it is not balanced. There is 1 shilling which is not seen in these estimates. So which means the executive used a formula that did not show the sense. So we want to urge them that they are supposed to show all the figures, even the sense, so that at least that aspect of having a figure that is not disclosed will not appear anymore. Otherwise, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, the Honorable Chairperson. I now rise to put the question that this House approves the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the Kericho County Supplementary Number 2 budget estimate for the year, for the financial year 2022-2023, together with corrigendum as proposed by the Chairperson, Budget and Appropriation Committee, the Honorable Albert Kipkoech. Will as many of similar opinion say aye? Will as many as of contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, as you've noticed from the our gazette notice that we still have another agenda. I therefore adjourn for 10-15 minutes, for 5 minutes as advised by the chairperson, and then we come and deal with the second item as per the gazette notice.